Good morning, hail heirs, to the House of Aries. I'm glad to have you here for the fourth lecture of our 8-lecture series on the 8 circuits of consciousness, according to Leary's model of the 8 circuits of consciousness. I'm Grandmaster Williams. I was installed Grandmaster by Grandmaster Crowley. I'm also one of the managers of the New Discordian Society, and I'm a 5th degree Episcopos. I'm a Pope. The Holy Discordian Pope, we don't know much about. And so, hopefully, not just for the 5th degree members here, but all of us, especially the popes, we are able to take away from this lecture today something to the good of the order. We are going in today with Lecture 4, Circuit of Consciousness number 4, which is the domestic circuit. We're going to learn about the domestic circuit. It's concerned with operating within social networks. And let me use the whiteboard here. Just pick a color. Grandmaster William, brother, what do you do? Just pick one. Alright, I've got this one. Hope it works. So here we are. We've got social networks. And this one's not as dark as I thought it would be, or visible rather. This is always going to be dark, but it's not as visible as I thought it was going to be. So let's start it over again. Maybe a better one here. The domestic circuit concerns itself with operating within social networks. Here is a social network, right? Let me put my name here, just so you know who I am. Okay. All right. A social network, right? Now, within this social network, we have operations, plural. And the reason there are operations within the social network is because of the domestic circuit, the 4th circuit of consciousness, right? And so, encompassing social networks as well as the operations is, I misspelled it a little. Eraser won't hurt here, will it? We have the 4th circuit, and it is the domestic circuit, right? The domestic circuit concerns itself with operations within a social network or within social networks. And this is the transmission of culture across time, right? So, it first appeared with the development of tribes. And it deals with moral social rules. Hyphenated word, moral social. Deals with moral social rules. Things that abide by our governmental laws in society, but as well are valued personally by us. So it's not just a professional, a demonstration of professionalism, right? Or respect, right? Or excellence. It's also something personally valuable and meaningful. It deals with sexual tribal rules passed through generations, right? So we talk about the development of tribes. Remember, we talk a how thing in sociology. Which my PhD is not in sociology. My PhD happens to be in metaphysics, okay, where I actually have a Bachelor of Divinity. Degree. You know, we were to just want to talk or delve a little bit into metaphysics itself in philosophy, because I practice with the PhD, but we can also just have a conversation on metaphysics and not be in practice, right? Just to discuss it, you know, in a like that hyphenated word, moral casual kind of way, right? Or for the purpose of creating or establishing a moral casual rule to go by. We can talk the construction of metaphysics, and not just from the standpoint of a degree or academics. We could be just philosophical about it, or very casual, or very moral about the word metaphysics. I can, because of how much I've been on studying it, but it's the introduction, this domestic circuit, to the fourth dimension, which is time, right? So it first appeared, the domestic circuit, with the development of tribes. So what it would look like, the domestic circuit, what it would look like over time, developmenting, because it first appeared with the development of tribes. We're going to talk about something like this. The development, where we go down beneath the surface, go 0 degrees there, and we go beneath the surface, and then we are already at 180 degrees, right? As a 90 degree, which here we all square there. We go down, and then we start to just go up. Now this comes back down, but there's a point here that matters in terms of development. So it's going to leave us an affordable question, if you will, as Discordians, as Freemasons, as Enlightened Masons, with regard to how we get to the idea that this is developed, or how Leary has gotten to the idea that this development is how or when the domestic circuit of consciousness first appeared. Right? And it goes back up again, And this point stays the same. It's like a repeating decimal, it stays the same though we're going down. Because we've always, you know, from the symbolic circuit, we learn it's concerned with logic and symbolic thoughts, and those are two different things, and it's a great balance, as the yin yang or the cow kind of shows us, or looks like in the graphic, the illustration of them. This is like a constant; it's not going to change this point here. We're just doing a lot of different delves and takes to come to the same thing. And so it goes down and it comes back up again. It goes down and comes back up again. It goes down and comes back up. It's back down. It's back up. Right? So for the person, the individual, the Mason who is interested enough in this study or a study of his own to accept that there is a point to it, there is a purpose, and it's not just to avoid or escape boredom that he is looking into these types of things. This makes a lot of sense, and it definitely makes justice. It is justice that we don't go about what's down here. We're not trying to go that route, right? Our will is what we're imposing, and if our will is to establish that this something is something, then that is where we're going to understand and relate to it in retrospect the most, as long as we're also familiar with the illustrations and things like this. So we go down, and then we're already at the 180, because the 180 has never changed, right? So, architecturally, that's the Greek letter phi, right? That is for light, right? So it looks like a lamp. So we're 180, great. Now we can do some alpha work. Push up, and there's an up. It's also a pi, right? And back down low it goes again. Back up a pi, and then back down low and back a pi, and back down and back a pi, and back down low and back up high, and back down low and back up high, and back down low and back up high, until we have what is development. When we have development and we have tribes, right, we also have, as a denominator for that numerator, the domestic circuit. It's an encompassing thing, right? The domestic circuit. Inside of it is social networks. Inside of their operations. So, with the moral social rules, these are found in 60 cultures around the world. Cultures are pretty big. We try to figure out in North America what culture is leading, and we are just overwhelmed by the majority, no matter if it's our one that is in mind or if it's a different one other than what we have in mind when we are interested in looking deeper into it to find out, right? Because we are already in real time among the cultures. The culture itself is overwhelming. It's the largest one, whichever one it is. It's kind of ironic that we would go to search and figure out which one it is and not understand in a conscious way that we are being influenced to even think of that way or think of that path or that journey based on the influence of the most common or largest, most popular culture. So imagine there's 60 of those around the world, right? Help your family, help your group. Return favors. Be brave. Defer to superiors, which is one of my big ones. Grandmaster Crowley knows this, and the other grandmasters know this. Grandmaster Garcia knows this. Grandmaster Williams knows this. Grandmaster Gray knows this, etc. Right? Divide resources fairly. Right? Respect others' property. Do not kill. Do not lie. Do not cause pain. These are all under moral social rules. You cause pain against the rules, it's also literally painful to your body, right? And these are, passed through the generations. These sexual tribal rules, traditional or customary morality is what they are as they're passed through the generations. These moral social rules are in the categories. We could place them in or look at them through philosophical lenses as traditional or customary morality. That is the moral parts of moral social rules, right? Moral social is hyphenated like this. Moral social rules. So when we talk about moral, the moral part, we could come up with traditional, we could come up with customary morality, right? And that goes into something that refers to the moral systems, handed down through custom from generation to generation, right? So when we talk about a custom, because there are, when we talk about what's passed through generations, we've got traditional or customary morality, right? Traditional or customary morality, right? So here, let's go into custom. And with custom, it's a traditional and widely accepted way of behaving or doing something that is specific to a particular society, place, or time. And that's its custom. Custom is an alternative definition as well, which is the regular dealings with a shop or business by customers. That's also custom, right? So with moral social rules, we can find the sense and the logic in there being, with regard to the generations, how these things are passed on, these tribal rules, sexual tribal rules, with the traditional or the customary morality in the moral social rules. Yeah, they are traditional or customary, right? And this refers again to the moral systems handed down through custom from generation to generation. Examples of custom: Illuminati. We talk Illuminati and we'll be very specific. Bavarian Illuminati. Until you complete your membership, for those old members all familiar with this, I've crossed the Judaism gate, and I'm not master, currently master of the lodge. Until you complete your membership initiation process, your loyalty will always be put to a test. That's an example of a custom, right? It's a traditional and widely accepted way of behaving or doing something that is specific to a particular society, place, or time. And Bavarian Illuminati fits somewhere. I personally don't think society since 1777, when the covenant of perfectibility became Order of Illuminati. Right? After it had been created by Brother Weishaupt, the founder of Bavarian Illuminati, he independently, it was not the entire Bavarian Illuminati, just Brother Weishaupt joined Freemasonry and became a Freemason. And he continued to do his thing and used the materials Freemasonry has to offer to build his Illuminati society. And, he got a dispensation eventually, set up his own lodge. He eventually went to the Grand Lodge seeking to be independent, to proclaim independence. He was successful, became, the founder of a Grand Lodge, and other lodges spawning off of that mother lodge. And so, he was admitted into Prudence Lodge under the right of strict observance in 1777. But he founded the society, which later became known as Illuminati, Order of Illuminati, or Secret Society, in 1776, on the 1st of May. So it was a year earlier. But I like to remember and recognize and honor his legacy and the legend that he is in these corridors. Because, there's no way to get into Bavarian Illuminati in terms of the Illuminati Masonic Lodge, the Illuminati Masonic Grips, or any of those signs, etc., or any of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite 33 degrees, or the operative rite of the Illuminated Ones of Bavaria, or anything else that has the relevancy to the way this particular order operates among its other. In terms of its friendly relations, which has been much of how it has gotten where it is today. And so that's custom. We deal with the morality. There's two ways of it. It's traditional morality and it's customary morality, right? And so that's one example of a custom. In Bavarian Illuminati, until you complete your membership initiation process, your loyalty will always be put to a test. That's an example of a custom because it is a traditional and widely accepted way within its own parameter, right? In its own light. Or it's accepted way of behaving or doing something, right? That is specific to a particular society, place, or time, and it is specific to this society or place or time. However you look at this organization. Another example is because there are so many branches and rankings, you are required to have only one initiator. This is another custom of the Bavarian Illuminati organization. I can't guarantee that these are customs in Discordian Illuminati. I can't guarantee you that these are customs of the Illuminati of Avignon. I can't guarantee that these are customs in the New World Order. I can't guarantee these are customs in the Illuminati of USA, right? I can't guarantee these are customs in the Order of Illuminati, which is the name given to Brother Weishaupt's society after he felt that Covenant of Perfectibility was too strange of a title, right? So there are different Illuminati organizations, and I can't guarantee that all the customs are the same, right? Another one, if your name pops up with more than one initiator, your initiation is terminated immediately. And you can never become an Illuminati member, as this is seen as an act of deception. So we've got some ethics in there. But it's an example of custom. It's specific to a society, right? Specific to a particular society, place, or time. So now, let's talk now about moral systems. Just kind of take this here out of the way when we talk about moral systems. All right? It's a system of coherent, systematic, and reasonable principles, rules, ideals, and values within which work, right? A system of coherent, systematic, and reasonable principles, rules, ideals, and values which work to form one's overall perspective. It's the way we interpret what we perceive and to build a perspective, and that is consciousness. This is the penetrating stage we already in, right, of the domestic circuit. It's how we are in terms of consciousness and just in terms of discordianism making. We are at this point. We are crafting, right? We should be very, very, very well at work with the use of the working tools. When we are in contemplation, consideration, or dealing or handling with or of understanding of a moral system, right? When we are trying, or at that point where it's obvious to us that we need to understand a moral system in some type of structure, or some type of a framework, we should be as well not just in mind or mindful of the working tools. We should be using them. Okay, in my opinion. There are a few types or kinds of moral systems to give you a little bit of light about what the moral system is kind of asking for or requiring in terms of our intellect. One of them is Aristotelian ethics. It's a moral system, Aristotelian ethics. Another one is deontology. And we're talking about moral systems because, as we know, we all have our own perception and perspective. We've also got moral social rules, things that require us to interact with others, such as when you're a member of this fraternity and we fellowship. We have a universal brotherhood and a nucleus as well to it. And we are all aware of it. So let's be just as aware of these moral systems. Aristotelian ethics. Good. Deontology. And utilitarianism. These are moral systems. So we're going to be using our logic, we're going to be using reasoning, and a lot of these things in the domestic circuit, it's where we are in consciousness. There is a such thing as a common moral system as well, though. So let's look at the common system. And it is to make decisions and judgments, right? Moral systems. Okay? So when we put these two together, these psychologies, the moral systems, and then there's that componential common aspect of it, if you will, were to make decisions and judgments. And then we have this Aristotelian ethics way we can go about doing that. We could also opt to the deontological way of doing that, or the utilitarianism or utilitarianistic way of doing that, right? So the words or just the sight of the text might be intimidating. It's maybe suggest there's going to be a lot more work than really is. As is looking for me, it was the beginning, I'll admit here, looking at that word, that title, Leary's model, the 8 circuits of consciousness. I thought, oh wow, I'm not Leary, so how in the world am I going to understand those? When I started to get into it, I could understand what it has to do with me, as if Leary's not the one who it's really based on. I feel like I can take attention to Leary's model of the 8 circuits of consciousness, because in that I'm learning, and with that being the 8 circuits of consciousness, in that circuitry, I'm connecting with things that I can relate to. So it's, for credibility's sake and recognition, to say this is Leary's model of the 8 circuits of consciousness, and to be very comfortable and very happy about that for Leary, happy about it, because those circuits of consciousness all apply to all of us. So what's happened? Leary's got on the head start side of things, and he's educating others who are on the same plateau and are not conscious of it, right? So Bavarian Illuminati has a moral system, okay? Despite those things that always be said much about Eris here in Discordia Illuminati, Eris is unpopular in Greek mythology due to her problematic behavior and her ability to stir up trouble wherever she goes. Regardless, there is still a moral system. This showed at the wedding ceremony. There is a moral system, right? So now about the sexual tribal rules. Those are similar to federal government as three branch system. Drawing might help us look at it a little better here. Right, the sexual tribal rules are much like this thing like here. Let me put first, to be politically correct, checks and balances for the sake of the association degree program. I'm just as proficient as I write when I speak. So typically when people carry on long scale arranged conversation or discussion with me, they typically get exhausted and almost fall asleep, because I really took my English major class before and into community and apprentice for any higher studies done at home, and then went properly into post-secondary education preparation and things like that, and then attended what was called college and not post-secondary education or university, and into a fraternity, Phi Theta Kappa, into an honor society as well, Sigma Alpha Pi, and collected all of my transcript grade percent ratings comparable to the state reflection or the state projection of those GPAs, and set well in the community with community service, volunteering at the local with my local parish, or other leaders in the community who are working voluntarily and doing community service to keep the streets clean of garbage and such things, and caught up my commercial perpetual me compared to commercial radio, which we can't get around. We subscribe to it, so that I'm now known as a commercial entity and not just a college graduate, etc. But what rating percent those propensities are worth those perplexions are worth, I'm now considered legibly or academically involved, not included enough to demonstrate or project those we would call reflections of others, those attempts to impersonate other people or perpetuate certain manner or matter in the community at large, such bulletins or flyers, promotions. I'm able to settle them in the correct equity scale where they are, while they can still enjoy music and entertainment, listening to the records of other artists, looking in galleries at the paintings of other people, take a look at it, take some pictures, and not have to pay for the capital percent cost that it costs to ban those pieces more than once, right, without asking the permission of the owner or the author. So checks and balances, and we've got here the legislative branch. We've also got the executive branch and the judicial branch. All right? That's kind of how the sexual tribal rules are, right? As has to do, is relevant to the domestic circuit. All right? It's similar to the federal government as a 3-branch system, all right? And is involved to exercise sovereign power over the people. It consists of codes and constitutions to each tribe, right? As well as ordinances, resolutions, and regulations. And so that's why I went ahead and wrote checks and balances, because that's kind of a vague or broad description of checks and balances when we are already in light of the 3 branches, right? So checks and balances here, and just slide on the end of it. These abbreviations for those who want to look deeper into this might be as well attending or watching this virtually. To cover the current percent rate projection on it, as we are live, and I am lecturing. And, well, lots of checks and balances has nothing to do with me, because we'll get very social, very moral and personal in order to respect and uphold our moral system, our common moral system, our domestic circuit composure, right? So checks and balances there. And this is a lot of what the sexual tribal rules are like. So we're going to take this Venn diagram type of way, and see here we're talking in the middle about rules, right? And over here, so that we can talk about rules and still be coherent to the ones that in real time or presently abide within us, if you will, common, right? Circle A, circle B, Venn diagram, right? There's a Venn diagram with some nice quotation marks there. The 4th dimension is a mathematical extension of 3-dimensional space, which is time, in physics. We've got 3 dimensions we can see, right? We've got 3 dimensions. There are 3 dimensions. If you hear very well, as I said earlier, the way linguistically I'm associated with the English major when I speak, so I don't just use the right language or odd sense when I'm in certain areas, right? To be very specific, I do it anyway when maybe I'm just all alone. So I really like to talk, to speak, actually, as well. Not everybody will or does, and you know that by the choice of words, and over time you know it by the behavior. So we've got a three-dimensional object. And now what we're going to do is as I can hear the sound of the marker on the whiteboard, and also remember in time and in kinetics what intensity certain sounds are implying in terms of communication and what words are being expressed, right? So we've got a three-dimensional object here, and in a mathematical extension of it, right, without going outside of any of the points of the pyramid, we can go in physics in time. So we have our own 0-degree equator inside of a three-dimensional space, right? Of a three-dimensional space. Look at that. It so happens it wants to climb the wall. This one doesn't. It wants to crawl on the floor, the carpet. So we've got a three-dimensional space. In physics, we can create there exists a mathematical extension, which is time, right? And there is also the fourth dimension. See? And so when we have something like this, tribes, we also have, mind you, it's going to be a branch. This is still one concept here, it's a point, right? We're going to have curriculum, and we're also going to have agenda, right? And what happens with curriculum is those subcategories. Also, regulations, right? While the agenda will rebirth us, if you will, into or unto consciousness, as well as acknowledgement, right? Having the integrity or the will to abide by the rules, the acknowledgement, right? And so that's what happens with tribes. We have a curriculum and an agenda. The curriculum is where things are structured for the tribe. The agenda is or are the provisions that are possible based on the structure or what is available, right? And so in the curriculum, with the subcategories, all of those goodies, all of those snacks and little, special things that are in the cupboard and also in the closet or in the basement or the attic, that make the curriculum fun, something we enjoy, something we want to respect, and something we want to uphold as something that is always to the good of the order. We also get the regulations, and when the regulations we're learning how the curriculum is supported, how it's stable enough for the tribe, how it's reinforced, the rules for the curriculum, right? With the regulations, how the agenda is supported by regulations. We learn how the agenda is a safe one to come up with within this circuit. We also learn again, subcategories, just some of the extra things that make the agenda worthwhile, right? They make the production of an agenda something that we really are interested and excited about. And that is where we are going with from the agenda with consciousness, for the sake of the others in the tribe, or in our case, in the rest of the brethren and sisters in this fraternity, right? So with that, we are able with the consciousness to connect, and that is why we have no problem acknowledging our membership in this house or membership wherever it is, with any association that we have, right? That's what happens with tribes. So we have a little more of an understanding, I hope, about social networks and how the domestic circuit concerns itself with, operations within social networks, right? These are social apps and websites that allow users, to organize. We could also put in, to organize a little more specific this about social networks, because we have social networking, and it's also interpreted in a virtual way. Post coronavirus, we started to meet virtually in Freemasonry. Prior to it, we were not meeting virtually; it was only in person. Social networks or social apps and websites that allow users, our organizations, to connect, communicate, share information, and form relationships. And sharing or exchanging information is, again, how to gain the reality of consciousness, to embrace and embed it where it belongs. Facebook is one social network platform. It's not just social media platform, but what's happening within that media circle is networking as well, right? Instagram is another one. GroupMe is a popular one in colleges, WhatsApp is another one for organizations or fraternities. And you've got those monthly active users, every month. For Facebook, it's 3.06 billion monthly active users for Facebook. So we've obviously got to have some type of social network, right? And some structure there as well. But the key is if you're conscious of what it is, you can identify, you can also remember in real time, it's some of your duty and obligation as a Freemason or an enlightened Mason to project some of these expression or expressive forms or some of these proportional dimensions, if you will, of the cultural knowledge that is, it's influencing humanity through art, literature, history as well. Yeah. And so Instagram has 2.35 billion monthly active users. GroupMe has an unknown number of monthly active users. WhatsApp has 2.78 billion monthly active users. So we think about the numbers. We think into the fourth dimension of what is three-dimensional around us in our environment. And things are a lot more effective than what meets the eye, aren't they? When you read what the ordeal is, you've little or less motive or enthusiasm than when you are experiencing it in real time. And you're also conscious, and you as well are parts of your experience. You can see yourself in more than a first person perspective from, therefore, the first person perspective. You know how to calculate the fourth dimension. You know how to create the mathematical expansion, right? Or extension, of three-dimensional space. You know how to forge the mathematical extension of three-dimensional space. That means, what is it that is of this space, right? And that's not for the purpose of placing a different object in that space. We want to know what the purpose of it is as it stays where it is, not to figure out whether or not to deem it useful or not, and something else is more useful, create demolition, destroy it, throw it away, build something new. That's not always the reason we want to know what the value or the use of an object is. It's not because we want to keep it or discard it. All right, we are asking philosophically, what is it? Because we're interested in the fourth dimension, the mathematical extension of that three-dimensional space in physics, which is time, right? So the new Discordian society is largely online, and we have understood this as Discordians haven't we? We bloody have. And also, let's talk a little bit when we talk social networks. This is one other important thing I want to share or exchange with all of you Episcopal seeds. Here, social networks, look at this. You're not going to want to miss this if you're like I am. Social network here. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, yeah. Social network, here we are. YouTube's probably a little bit lesser. It's more of a media, more of a social media platform. The others are social networks, if you ask me. But again, this is only my opinion. This doesn't represent Freemasonry or no any members. It's my opinion. Here, social networks. I'm going to try this. I'm going to dare to know, called superiority. Illuminati. Sorry. Illuminati is going to go like this. Illuminati of Abaddon. Bavarian Illuminati. This is the first order. Okay. New World Order. Discordian Illuminati. And let's go Illuminati of USA. Right? And let's look at each one of these with this word in mind. Tribes. And we can see, hopefully, that we've got, and hopefully we've read as well and heard, social, moral rules, as well as tribal rules. Hence, organization. Not just enlightenment. Right? Not just enlightenment. We have a structure. And those outside of this fraternity are not aware of how it works, why it works, where it works at, what it is, therefore, nor anything else. That bulk of or volume of data on the internet is highly questionable, especially if it was brought to one of us in the house who already prepared for those types of platforms. Those of us who are really speakers, who like to produce pieces, writers, journalists, Masonic writers, Masonic speakers, those who publish things. Grandmaster Crowley is very, 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 very timeless and just very specialized member because of her the absence of embarrassment or comfort or discomfort to share the crafts and things that I've had a chance to look at. That Grandmaster Crowley does in leisure time or something, right? It is an absolutely beautiful background or wallpaper or decor to this house because we are human beings, right? We are entities. We do exist. We are living. And whether we are or not any of those things, this world believes in us to be at least one of those things, be it mythologically, be it philosophically, be it psychologically, be it imaginarily. This world exists. We don't have to have it in a human or organic context. We can have it geometrically. We can have it through the fourth dimension or the third dimension. But having a structure, a social network, having the professional terms applied or associated to this organization does society more benefit or good than it is aware of, in my opinion. Just drawing on this idea that we are devil worshippers or that our organization is satanic, etc. Right? That sort of feeling of attack, with this new concept of hate crime or whatever. But that's the way I like to look at it, and this is what I wanted to share with you. Because people often just say Illuminati and Freemasonry, and it's very, very general, and they are not understanding that the houses and lodges jurisdictions are not identical. They're not operating just like another one is. Rites and rituals are being performed different ways. Some have the same ritual, but one's modifying it and the other isn't, so they're different. These things are happening. So when you say Illuminati, which one? What Illuminati? Right? The Freemasonry or lodge, or which lodge, or what kind of Freemasonry? Right? This is the way we'll need to do it. Because that is the way it is. So let's talk about Illuminati and tribes here now. Illuminati refers to one who believes oneself has an ability to see light, right, or illumination, possesses a light, to be an enlightened one. And there is no knowledge of who is an Illuminati, nor who is not. So I want to share this. In 1776, mate, on May 1st, an Illuminati brother and founder of the first organized Illuminati society founds the Perfectibilists in Ingolstadt, calls the society Covenant of Perfectibility. And they, the members, there are 5 of them, it's him and 4 students, are the Perfectibilists. The Perfectibilists are a tribe in this sense, a tribe-like spawn, actually, of Illuminati, consisting of individual Illuminatis, this Covenant of Perfectibility, right? In their own walks of life, they're each an Illuminati, right? Perhaps. But they formed an organization, a society, and that's a different level of illumination, okay, in terms of consciousness, right? And so Illuminati is a name given to several groups, both real and fictitious. It has been used when referring to various organizations which are alleged to be a continuation of the original Bavarian Illuminati, though these links have not been substantiated. Freemasonry was found expensive for him early on. He founded his own society, which was to have a system of ranks or grades based on those in Freemasonry, but with his own agenda, right? So he admires a lot about Freemasonry in those speculative Masonic ways, right? Freemasonry, we'll talk more about it. In 1778, I'm not mistaken, the Order Covenant of Perfectibility became the Order of Illuminati. By this time, the Order had 3 grades, right? As Freemasonry, Blue Craft Lodges, the one you're initiated into has 3 grades, 3 degrees. But this is where we in Illuminati organization, brethren and sisters, begin to get into what's Illuminati Masonic. All right. The first grade was novice, the second grade is Minerval, and the third is Illuminated Minerval. It involved a complicated ceremony itself, the third grade in itself. And the candidate during it was given secret signs, and also the candidate was given a password. So this is where we get Illuminati Masonic. And some enlightened Masons use that term, Illuminati Masonic, right? Because the founder of Bavarian Illuminati, not Illuminati itself, but the organized order of Illuminatis, is the one in which we are talking, when we're expressing these norms and mores and values and tenets and principles and a consciousness about illumination, right, which is not tangible, anywho, right? We're then talking about the modifications, if you will, the revised or refined version of the society based on this agenda of a single Illuminati, right? Particularly having been admitted into Freemasonry and using those materials to better build the society, not separating them, not doing Illuminati on one end of the world and doing Freemasonry on its own respective end of the world, which isn't the same end of the world in this situation. He used those things to build it. And so then we are Illuminati Masonic when we are wanting to talk about or more philosophize about illumination, and we want to do it in the modern way, or we want to somehow connect with others in it, right, in the conversation. Learn from them or encourage or motivate or inspire or influence something, right? Psychology is going to play a part in it, and therefore we're going to have to add another component to what it is that is the center or the nucleus of energy, so that we are aware and conscious that what we hear, what we see, what we say, though we all have our own 5 senses to do these things, are not to be necessarily perceived as things that are detrimental to our health, for example, or to our cognitive functioning, to our success, to our chances. Rather, these things are proportional, if you will. This means multiple persons can find it to be the exact same thing, pertinent to oneself, right, in the exact same conversation, right? So, in the third degree, it is what it is. It had a ruling council, or what's called an Areopagus, a ruling council. Brother Weiss with the W in German, it sounds like a V. For those who say Weishaupt, you're not saying the German professor of law in Ingolstadt, who founded Bavarian Illuminati, who eventually became known as the Order of Illuminati. I'm not sure what you would be referring to or referencing, but he's German, and the letter W is giving the pronunciation of special effect of the letter V, right? My last name just so happens, just like his, to start with a W. Here's an example of my name on one of my dues cards, the one affiliation I have, and a jurisdiction that isn't the one I was initiated into. But since becoming a Master Mason, I definitely become a brother as well to them. And there's another one. with my last name on it that starts with a W, right? If I were German, that would be pronounced Williams. And this means that Brother Weishaupt, the founder of Bavarian Illuminati, is, going to appreciate his family who's still living, obviously, today, are going to appreciate if you're pronouncing their name, as Weishaupt, right? Brother Weishaupt decided to join the older order of Freemasonry to acquire material to expand his own ritual. And this is how we will encompass in this talk about tribes and the domestic circuit. He was admitted to Prudence Lodge of the Rite of Strict Observance in 1777. So a year after he founded the society of his, he progressed through the three degrees of Freemasonry. A warrant was obtained from the Grand Lodge of Prussia called the Royal Yoke for Friendship, and the order entered into a friendly relations disposition with Freemasonry to obtain dispensation to set up their own lodge in December 1778. The new lodge was called Theodore of the Good Counsel, with the intention of flattering Charles Theodore, Elector of Bavaria at the time. So founded in Munich on 21 March 1779 and quickly packed with the Illuminati, or Illuminatis, it's going to be from singular to plural, this house that he has created. He's received a dispensation to set it up. It is his lodge, and it's called House of Theodore of the Good Counsel. And it quickly, when it was founded in 1779, it quickly packed with Illuminatis. Right? That's how we get to Illuminati Masonic. By establishing Masonic relations with the Union Lodge in Frankfurt, affiliated to the premier Grand Lodge of England, Lodge Theodore became independently recognized, right? And able to declare its independence. So as a new mother lodge, it could now spawn lodges of its own, right? And the order developed profound internal divisions, tribes, right? The Scottish Grade is an example of a social network today, also called Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite, 33 degrees, of the operative rite of the illuminated ones of Bavaria, right? So Charles Theodore, in 1784, he banned all secret societies, all of them. And in 1785, a year later, Illuminati was designated by him as a branch of Freemasonry. He specified then that he wanted Illuminati out of the way. In 1786, lodges were raided by Theodore, and documents were found containing names of persons affiliated with Illuminati. So the documents were seized, internal correspondence was seized, Brother Weishaupt fled. The government published this in 1787. This is the time when Theodore says, if you are found to be affiliated with Illuminati, you will be punished by being put to death. Right? So modern Illuminati now, here we are, we've got the Illuminati order. Is another word. As another one, or order. Another one is the Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO. So people have tried since then throughout the 18th century to resurface it, if you will. The Fourth Circuit concerns itself in ways Discordians can value having a connection with consciousness regarding the belief that chaos is as an important part of reality, just as is harmony or order, right? This consciousness avoids the nutshell of politics, dwelling religiously, majorly online where Discordianism is, as it stands currently. So with social networks, we've got the Illuminati organization, and with a conscious impact on society by tribal laws, we've got governments, and we therefore here as Illuminati or Enlightened Masons have a brotherhood. And it's important that we, to keep or maintain independence, abide by our government laws, right? This is how we get, let me share this here. When we've got, which we do, always, even as we speak. Time's not stopping because I'm writing. That's why I learned eye-hand coordination with my language. We've got government, and those parentheses are signifying multiplication. We'll talk government very, very generally. We've also got, just as general, in my opinion, brotherhood. And we need to maintain, as Brother Weishaupt has done over the years, we need to maintain friendly relations with these other entities in order to progress, right, and prosper for abundance. So to do that gives us independence, right? And we get to that from a Grand Lodge. Actually, wait a minute. Well, sure, a Grand Lodge. I don't want to do it the way I was thinking. Instead of just kind of expanding a little bit. We, from the Grand, with the independence, right, go from, to get there, a Grand Lodge. And we've come from a Mother Lodge to do that, right? Which has come from a Grand Lodge, right? Which has come from a lodge. And that lodge has come from tribes with laws, right? And that's how in a PhD or with a PhD, one such as myself can understand rules, general, right? So, yes, as a Mother Lodge, we still our history. We were still the same lodge, same Grand Lodge, but we're moving up, and this has to do with consciousness. Okay? It has to do with consciousness. It has to do with the exchanging of information. Right? So this is going to conclude the fourth lecture on the fourth circuit of consciousness, according to Leary's model, the 8 circuits of consciousness, which is the domestic circuit. We meet upon the level of equality, we act by the plumb of righteousness, and we depart upon the square virtues all the time. Hail the light.